Because that was actually a follow up question I was going to have about that was like being curious about the business. Like, do you think it's something where curiosity is focused in the wrong areas, kind of leading people down the path to be curious or focused on things that don't actually provide value? And I could hear critics now talking about, well, every now and then you need to have something that doesn't necessarily provide value. Not everything you do has to provide value. That's what Skunk Works is for and things like that. And I'm not talking about doing that, from time to time. What was really the crux of this episode was a conversation you and I had about those in digital analytics often getting incredibly sidetracked, doing things that actually have no value most of the time, which then overall, downplays the value that analytics could have for an organization.
Yeah, and for me, I just think it comes back to leadership. And typically when this happens, it's not that the teams want to go off and just do stuff that doesn't have value. They're doing things that feel approachable to them, that feels like they are solving a problem, or they are investing in something that creates value. The reason why it doesn't have the same level of value from the business's perspective is I think often comes down to a lack of purpose. The why. Why does our analytics team exist? And if we don't have leadership in place that has a clear reasoning for why this team exists, then I'm going to go back to this analogy we use all the time of the 1970s, 80s football game, where you put the players on it, you turned it on, and they shook off. Like that's how we're operating. We have no shared sense of purpose or goal of what we're trying to do, and so when you look at it from a top-down perspective, it looks like just all these people spinning around, going off in opposite directions. However, if we have a sense of purpose, then a lot of these things that don't appear to have value, then all of a sudden do have value. We're investigating new technologies. We're staying ahead on new technologies that the market is introducing. We're future proofing our implementations. We're doing things that don't have immediate business value today, but are an investment in business value in the future. Like, all of these things become meaningful because we have a purpose, because we're trying to do X to support Y. And so for me, a lot of times that's why we get into these situations is, you go talk to analytics teams, like, well, why do you exist as a team? It's like, well, we report on stuff. Okay, well, that's not really a purpose. Like, what's our purpose? Why do we exist? Why is the business happy that we exist? And I would challenge anyone in an analytics role listening to this podcast to seriously ask themselves that question. Why is the business happy that we exist? And if we can't clearly articulate that, then one, maybe we haven't defined our own purpose or reason for existing. Or two, we're not living up to the promise that we can provide really meaningful value to the business in order to do, fill in the blank. Why do we exist? And so without that kind of purpose, we default to doing tasks. We default to doing things that create, and I want to be careful. I don't want to like undermine or undervalue it, but create the appearance of doing work. So if we don't have a purpose, then building deployments, running tests, creating reports, building dashboards, all of those create the appearance that we're doing work because we're creating these tangible outcomes of what we're doing. But they may or not actually be solving anything that the business needs us to solve.